Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Mandy's Corner Pub. Come on in, pull up a stool, relax, and let's get started with Writing Wednesday. Guys, I really want to do that children's book I was talking about, but I'm still having a hard time locating it. So I found an interesting part of Odd Thomas, and it is one of my favorite books. So I figured we'd revisit it a little bit before I talk to you guys about a few things. So let's go on and get into Odd Thomas. And in case any of you have forgotten, since it's been a while since we did anything on Odd Thomas is the story of a very unique and very special young man who can see the dead, and he uses that ability to do the most good for the world he possibly can. And it's a really engrossing story once you get into it. If you haven't checked it out, I really highly suggest you do. There's a whole series. The first in the series is just simply entitled Odd Thomas by Dean Koontz. Get it, check it out. I promise you won't regret it. Okay, let's get started, guys. The town of Pico Mundo is in that part of Southern California where you can never forget that in spite of all the water imported by the state aqueduct system, the true condition of the territory is desert. In March we bake. In August, which this was, we broil. The ocean lay so far to the west that it was no more real to us than the sea of tranquility, that vast art plain on the face of the moon. Occasionally, when excavating for a new subdivision of tract homes on the outskirts of town, developers had struck rich veins of seashells in their deeper diggings. Once upon an ancient age, waves have lapped these shores. If you put one of those shells to your ear, you will not hear the surf breaking, but only a dry, mournful wind, as if the shell has forgotten its origins. At the foot of the exterior steps that led down from my small apartment in the early sun, Penny Callisto waited like a shell on a shore. She wore red sneakers, white shorts, and a sleeveless white blouse. Ordinarily, Penny had none of that. Sorry, I don't have my glasses. My fault. Sorry, guys. Ordinarily, Penny had none of that pre-adolescent despair to which some kids prove so susceptible these days. This morning, however, she looked solemn. Her blue eyes darkened as does the sea under the passage of a cloud. I glanced toward the house, 50 feet away, where my landlady, Rosalie Sanchez, would be expecting me at any minute to confirm that she had not disappeared during the night. The sight of herself in a mirror was never sufficient to put her fear to rest. Without a word, Penny turned away from the stairs. She walked toward the front of the property. Like a pair of looms using sunshine and their own silhouettes, two enormous California live oaks wove veils of gold and purple, which they flung across the driveway. Penny appeared to shimmer and to darkle as she passed through this intricate lace of light and shade. A black mantilla of shadow dimmed the luster of her blonde hair, its elaborate pattern changing as she moved. Afraid of losing her, I hurried down the last of the steps and followed the girl. Miss Sanchez would have to wait and worry. Penny led me past the house, off the driveway, to a bird bath on the front lawn. Around the base of the pedestal that supported the basin, Rosalie Sanchez had arranged a collection of dozens of seashells, all shapes and sizes, that had been scooped from the hills of Pico Mundo. Penny stooped, selected a specimen about the size of an orange, stood once more, and held it out to me. The rough exterior was brown and white, the polished interior shone pearly pink. Cup in her right hand, as though she still held the shell, Penny brought it to her ear. She cocked her head to listen, thus indicating she wanted me to. When I put the shell to my ear, I did not hear the sea. Neither did I hear the melancholy desert wind that I mentioned previously. Instead, from the shell came the rough breathing of a beast, the urgent rhythm of a cruel need, the grunt of mad desire. Here in the summer desert, winter found my blood. When she saw from my expression that I had heard what she wished me to hear, Penny crossed the lawn to the public sidewalk. She stood at the curb, gazing toward the west end of Marigold Lane. I dropped the shell, went to her side, and waited with her. Evil was coming. I wondered whose face it would be wearing. Old Indian laurels lined this street. Their great gnarled surface roots have in places cracked and buckled the concrete walkway. Not a whisper of air moved through the trees. The morning lay as uncannily still as dawn on Judgment Day, one breath before the sky would crack open. Like Miss Sanchez's place, most houses in this neighborhood are Victorian in style, with varying degrees of gingerbread. When Pico Mundo was founded in 1900, many residents were immigrants from the East Coast, and their preferred architecture is better suited to that distant, colder, damper shore. Perhaps they thought they could bring to this valley only those things they loved, leaving behind all ugliness. We are not, however, a species that can choose the baggage with which it must travel. In spite of our best intentions, we always find that we have brought along a suitcase or two of darkness and misery. For half a minute, the only movement was that of a hawk gliding above, glimpsed between laurel branches. The hawk and I were hunters this morning. Penny Callisto must have sensed my fear. She took my right hand in her left. I was grateful for this kindness. Her grip proved firm, and her hand did not feel cold. I drew courage from her strong spirit. Because the car was idling in gear, rolling at just a few miles per hour, I didn't hear anything until it turned the corner. When I recognized the vehicle, I knew a sadness equal to my fear. The 1968 Pontiac Firebird 400 had been restored with loving care. The two-door midnight blue convertible appeared to glide toward us with all tires a fraction of an inch off the pavement, shimmering like a mirage in the morning heat. Harlow Landerson and I had been in the same high school class. During his junior and senior years, Harlow rebuilt this car from the axles up until it looked as cherry as it had in the autumn of '67 when it had first stood on a showroom floor. Self-effacing, somewhat shy, Harlow had not labored on the car with the hope either that it would be a babe magnet or that those who had thought of him as tepid would suddenly think he was cool enough to freeze the mercury in a thermometer. He had had no social ambitions. He had suffered no illusions about his chances of ever rising above the lower ranks of the high school system. With a 335 horsepower V8 engine, the Firebird could sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 8 seconds, yet Harlow wasn't a street racer. He took no special pride in having wheels of fury. He devoted much time, labor, and money to the Firebird because the beauty of its design and function enchanted him. This was a labor of the heart, a passion almost spiritual in its purity and intensity. I sometimes thought the Pontiac figured so large in Harlow's life because he had no one to whom he could give love that he lavished on the car. Give the love that he lavished on the car. Sorry, guys. His mom died when he was 6. His dad was a mean drunk. A car can't return the love you give it, but if you're lonely enough, maybe the sparkle of the chrome, the luster of the paint, and the purr of the engine can be mistaken for affection. Harlow and I hadn't been buddies, just friendly. I liked the guy. He was quiet, but quiet was better than the boast and bluster with which many kids jockeyed for social position in high school. With Penny Callisto still at my side, I raised my left hand and waved at Harlow. Since high school, he'd worked hard. 9 to 5, he unloaded trucks at Superfood and moved stock from storeroom to shelves. Before that, beginning at 4 a.m., he dropped hundreds of newspapers at homes on the east side of Picamundo. Once each week, he also delivered to every house a plastic bag full of advertising flyers and discount coupon books. This morning, he distributed only newspapers, tossing them with a snap of the wrist as though they were boomerangs. Each folded and bagged copy of the Tuesday edition of the Maravilla County Times spun through the air and landed with a soft thump on a driveway or a front walk, precisely where the subscriber preferred to have it. Harlow was working the far side of the street when he reached the house opposite me. He braked the coasting Pontiac to a stop. Penny and I crossed to the car, and Harlow said, "Good morning, Odd. How are you this fine day?" "Bleak," I replied, sad and confused. He frowned with concern. "What's wrong? Anything I can do?" "It's something you've already done," I said. Letting go of Penny's hand, I leaned into the Firebird from the passenger side, switched off the engine, and plucked the key from the ignition. Startled, Harlow grabbed for the keys but missed. "Hey, Odd, no fooling around, okay? I have a tight schedule." I never heard Penny's voice, but in the rich yet silent language of the soul, she must have spoken to me. What I said to Harlow Landerson was the essence of what the girl revealed. "You have her blood in your pocket." An innocent man would have been baffled by my statement. Harlow stared at me, his eyes suddenly owlish, not with wisdom, but with fear. "On that night," I said, "you took with you 3 small squares of white felt." One hand still on the wheel, Harlow looked away from me, through the windshield as if willing the Pontiac to move. "After using the girl, you collected some of her virgin blood with the squares of felt." Harlow shivered, his face flushed red, perhaps with shame. Anguish thickened my voice. "They dried stiff and dark, brittle like crackers." His shivers swelled into violent tremors. "You carried one of them with you at all times." My voice shook with emotion. "You like to smell it." "Oh, God, Harlow. Sometimes you put it between your teeth and bite on it." "I'm not the law. I'm not vigilante justice. I'm not vengeance personified. I don't really know what I am or why." In moments like these, however, I can't restrain myself from action. A kind of madness comes over me, and I can no more turn away from what must be done than I can wish this fallen world back into a state of grace. As Harlow burst from the Pontiac, I looked down at Penny Callisto and saw the ligature marks on her throat, which had not been visible when she had first appeared to me. The depth to which the garroting cloth had scored her flesh revealed the singular fury with which he had strangled her to death. Pity tore at me, and I went after Harlow Landerson, for whom I had no pity whatsoever. I'll stop right there. You guys really, really need to check this out. I mean, this whole series is absolutely amazing. And come on, Dean Koontz is one of the masters. You got to pick it up, check it out. Remember, Thomas. Okay, guys, I just want to run a few things past you real fast, and I will let you get back on with your day. As you know, I've got the first installment in my Rise series is already out. Links will be in the description. June 22nd, the second installment in the series, entitled Rise Mind Over Matter, will be out. Not long after that, I will have Corner Pub coming out. And at some point, Wishing on Stars, which is a project I've worked on for a while, I'm finally going to get it. It started out as a short story, and people wanted more. So I'm going full-length novel version with it. That'll be out sometime later this year or the first of next year. And I'm also working on a collection of Southern ghost stories entitled Down Home Ghost. I think you guys might get a kick out of that one, especially if you're into Odd Thomas. You'll really enjoy that. And I am starting another new series. As a lot of you know, Rise is a series based in the gaming community. Permadeath will be also, but it's going to be a much different storyline. And I'm not sure exactly yet how many installments there'll be in that series, but I think if you're into gaming, I think you're going to get into it. I think you'll enjoy it. I'm not sure yet when the first installment of that's going to be out, but I'll keep you guys updated. Now, another thing kind of going along with Rise, if any of you that are into gaming or have followed Rise any, I've always said I wanted to use Rise to do a lot of good things, not just in the gaming community, but society in general. Well, to that end, there have been a lot of things coming about. Do me a favor, and if you have the time after you watch this, check out yesterday's Rise Tuesday. Um, it'll be April 16th, Rise Tuesday. Check it out and kind of listen to what I have to say in there about the organization we're starting and what we're hoping to do. And just so everyone knows, I am going to be using a lot of my own funds out of what I make from my writing to help fund all of this, along with seeking, of course, help with funding from other areas. So, yeah, if you don't mind, just check that out and kind of help spread the word a little bit. And be on the lookout for all these projects I have coming up. And I will do my very best to find that children's book so we can get started on it. And for right now, I've got to run. Sorry. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. And until next time, catch you later. Bye-bye.